Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Archlector George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
Over the course of the next few episodes, we'll be doing special episodes with guest spots, and for this episode, we'll be talking to Joshua from Reddit. So, let's get started. As usual, before we actually get started, gotta continue to thank all you peoples for your continued devotion to our podcast. That's why we have people like Joshua here and other guests, and really do appreciate all the nice, kind things you've been saying about us. And
It sounds creepy when you say it like that.
And please make sure to follow us on social media and YouTube.
Yes, we're not weird.
So, Joshua.
I beg to differ. Yes, so Joshua.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a big fan of First Law. Read it a bunch of times. Recently, I've started doing memes on the Reddit page, and love your guys' podcast. So it's pretty cool to be here.
Glad to have you on, man. And you are pretty good at the memes.
I would like to say so, or pretend so.
Yep.
But
Tell we're gonna watch the fuck out, you know.
I know. I even beat him like once. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay. When did you first get into the First Law?
So I first got into the First Law actually right before the Wisdom of Crowds finished up. So I started reading it about 6 months prior to that, and just at the time I finished The Trouble with Peace, the Wisdom of Crowds came out, and yeah, I finished it there. But yeah, I originally heard about it. So I enjoy writing. That's probably my main hobby. And so I had heard so many great things about the First Law with characters and the writing style and the humor. And I originally started reading it as kind of like studying for my writing. And then sure enough, I became obsessed with it. And I have now read it 6 times going on 7. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Is it like now you're like, what's even the point of writing? I can't do this.
Almost, yeah. Everything I write now, whereas before I always said I was writing my perfect story and it's my favorite because, I'm writing the story I would want to read.
I don't know.
I now say I'm writing the perfect story except for Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. That does beat mine, but it's a good second best.
That's pretty cool though that you write yourself. You've been able to be published and stuff. Can we plug you?
In the process, yeah. So I've probably got another year or so, and then we'll be coming out with the first book. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, you'll have to let us know whenever it goes through. We love to read it.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do. I'll shoot you guys links for the ebook or audiobook.
Please do. All right, so let's go ahead.
Sorry, Jeff. Do you, Josh? Do you like the to read it the physical books, or are you more of an audiobook guy?
So I have only ever read the audiobooks except for Best Served Cold. I read that, the physical. I have all the physical books because I like looking at them. But yeah, I started reading the audiobooks because it's fun to read at work. It makes the day go by quicker and everything. And then once you start reading the Stephen Pacey audiobooks, there's really no going back.
Oh yeah, no, there isn't there? And that seems like a general trend with the last couple of guests. Like everyone's like, yeah, I always listen to these at work. The same as me.
Yes.
Oh yeah. When you're having a rough day, you just pop on The Blade Itself or Red Country, or take your pick. And yeah, it's going to be a good day.
That's good. So speaking of the audiobooks, why don't you tell us about some of your favorite moments that stood out to you? Possibly just by listening to the audiobooks.
Oh yeah, well, so obviously certain characters, the dialogue and everything is just perfect. Like a Glocta, like a Casca. Well, let's see here.
Those are kind of like the primo voices, aren't they?
No, I know. Yeah, it's funny because then trying to think of a specific moment is kind of tough because there's so many. I think probably my favorite moment, as far as the dialogue goes, I know Jeffrey's talked about it. The whole in Red Country down at the end when Dubert is going into the going into the little shack to hunt down lamb.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just repeatedly, oh God, oh God, oh God, again and again and again as he sees all of the bodies and the blood and the destruction. And then so calm, so perfectly Logan, just, no, but I'm here. And then Jubair's head goes bouncing outside of the shack. But I think as far as if I were to pick like one performed moment, I think that has to be it. It's just, yeah, it's perfect. It's the kind of thing where I would love to just pour in all of the dialogue from the audiobooks into like an animated First Law TV show. We don't even need any.
Oh, I know, just all
re-recording.
Pacey's
Yeah.
voices. Yeah,
It's just perfect. Yeah. So
I swear to God, if Stephen Pacey does not show up in the Best of Cole film, I'm going to be so disappointed.
oh, I
I
know,
know,
he
right?
has to be. Who should he play though? Just a cameo or a character?
It could be Malthus.
I think he could. I think he could pull off Malthus or maybe a faithful Carpy. I think either one he could probably do.
Or if he wanted to get really into the acting, he could go full on like Duke Salia. He fucking like wears
Ooh,
a
that'd
fat
be
suit
good.
and stuff.
That'd be fantastic. Oh yeah, just walking through the halls, and this is my art. I can't do the voice, but yeah, just preaching about how awesome his art is, the artistic nudity in the warrior statue. It would be quite entertaining to watch Stephen Pacey argue with Rebecca Ferguson over the. So my wife just suggested Danny DeVito could beat Glocta, and I'm shunning her.
Danny DeVito, that's hilarious.
But I do think Danny
He's got the
DeVito should
hunch
show up
for it.
somewhere. Danny DeVito could be Duke Salia. Yeah, there's an option. But you know what? Stephen Pacey could totally be Grand Duke Orso. He's got the grandeur in his voice. He's a little bit older. He could totally do it.
I like that.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
He could do kind of a Hugh Grant kind of like performance. Yeah, definitely. It'd be fun. Do you guys have any particular castings in the Best Served Cold movie you're looking forward to?
No, I mean the only one we know of for sure is Rebecca Ferguson, right? So anything
Yeah.
else? Let me think.
We did kind of have that one episode where we were doing some fan casting.
Right, we did that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I said.
I know, right? There's so many characters. We're like,
Fuck,
No, I know.
what I said in that episode. I forgot.
we're gonna say the wrong thing, you know, and then people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, you said you changed your mind. You can't do that."
Oh, clearly. I feel like it's all hinged though on Casca and Shivers. I feel like those are the two characters that they need to nail. They do a perfect.
Yeah, I think Morveer needs to be nailed perfectly. So you know, the comedic effect, especially him and Casca's relationship, that dynamic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, it's one of those things. Well, with like whenever you cast somebody like that, like they have to be seen not as, there's a careful balance between seeming like, oh, he's sympathetic, and also like kind of grossed out by him, and also like questioning whether or not he's actually the problem or not. Because just like how when you read the book, you're like, this guy's kind of sad, but he's obviously kind of a douchebag. But then at the end, you're like, oh my god, he's just a full blown douchebag. But that subtlety has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, and that'll be interesting to see how they do it without the inner monologues of some of the different characters, especially like a Morveer, since almost everything is in his head.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, that'll be fun to see though.
George, you want to chime in here?
I reckon castings are so difficult, especially when you don't know like what kind of budget they're going for, like how much money are they willing to spend on like big ass actors. Because you could just pick an A-lister for every single role.
Yes,
And, you know what I mean. And I could sit here and go, yeah, it'd be really cool if I don't know, for example, they could pick like Dave Bautista for Friendly.
Yeah,
Someone like that
sure.
who's got the build, got the reasonable amount of acting chops. I reckon for more Veer, you could go for what was the guy who played fucking Littlefinger?
Peter
Oh
Bailey.
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Aidan Gillen.
Aidan Gillen.
Yes.
Dave Bautista for Friendly. Is Friendly that tall though? Because Dave Bautista.
He's just broad, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
Dave
just broad.
Bautista is not tall, is he?
I thought he's like.
No, the
stocky.
thing is the Dave Bautista thing is too old. I think Dave Bautista needs to play broad.
Mm,
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
that'd be a better fit. Yeah, definitely.
It'll
Yeah,
just be like in Blade Runner. He takes off the glasses each time too. It'll be perfect. Ever since I saw that one scene, I was like, oh my god, that's Friendly. Not Friendly. Broad.
Yeah, there's a couple of those characters. Like for me, for whatever reason, with Mervier, like everybody always compares Casca to Jack Sparrow. For whatever reason, I've always pictured Johnny Depp as Mervier. Like listening to the audiobook, I feel like he kind of sounds somewhat similar to Jack Sparrow. And for whatever reason, they're just perfectly linked together in my mind. I can't not see Mervier as anything other than Johnny Depp.
That's funny.
I think I'm the only person who has that opinion, but for whatever reason, yeah.
I could absolutely see that. Like,
Yeah, because I hear people saying like they should not cast Casca as Johnny Depp because then he's just going to be Jack Sparrow and that would be terrible. And every time I hear that, it's just like, yeah, I agree. But we do need Johnny Depp just over here. In this role.
We need.
That's what we need.
I think
But, yeah.
Johnny Depp, he does have the capability to do it. So
Yeah. But yeah. So I guess one idea that I definitely came up with is how about funniest moments in series? That was totally my idea. Not anybody else's.
very original.
Yeah.
Very original.
I'm going to take all the credit there. So what about you guys? Do you guys have any moments that stand out to you?
oh, well, Practical Frost is just a comedic genius. Everything he says is hilarious.
This is true.
Poison.
Pedestrian.
Poison.
Yeah.
A great many one-liners.
He's just doing the best he can while providing for his family while knitting little scrunchies and whatnot at home.
Yeah, it's a shame that he had the fact that he died, and like it's probably the worst thing that Glockner could have done. He could have at least asked him how he was feeling or why. He didn't even try to figure it out.
Yeah, no, he just stabbed him through the throat.
Yeah,
No, he did.
cold blooded.
That's pretty rude, if nothing else.
Jeff,
Go ahead.
I was to say, Jeff, what are your favorite like characters or consistent thoroughfares of hilariosity?
Hilariosity. Obviously the banter with Glocta and his practicals before they turned on him. That's always, always funny. The thing I think we talked about it the previous episode when Dogman finds West and Ladislaw on them. He's like, 3 trees is going to shit.
I think any moment between Dogman and Ladislaw when they're in the same rooms is funny.
Oh yeah. Or
Like
Ladislaw.
when they come to give the news of Bethod's army coming, and Ladislaw's like, "Hang on a minute, musicians, stop! We need something more jaunty, more martial."
I can just totally see 3 trees like looking at West like, holy fuck, like we're screwed.
And then like just see in the background Dogman like slipping a salmon into his trousers.
Got me a whole fish.
Those unioners aren't so bad, or aren't all bad.
Yeah, Ladislaw is definitely like my favorite.
Mhm.
Like it's so hysterical. Him existing at all. Like when the first, like the fact that he's even like a human being, like it almost sounds like you first read the books, you're almost like this guy is a stereotypical like, oh, I'm the regal prince. But once you realize how like human all of the characters are, how consistent they are, when you reread the series, you're like, oh my god, Ladislaw is like comical because he doesn't even fit in as a human being at all at this point. He's just like this caricature of like ridiculousness.
100%. But then at the same time, I feel like he's Joe's pulled so many like former side characters and made them POV characters and had them so fully fleshed out that I feel like even characters that, like Ladislaw, who are totally just a caricature of the asshole prince character, I can still kind of almost hear or imagine them having all of those same inner thoughts, even if they're simple because he's a moron. Like,
Yeah.
it makes the world feel so real and realized, because I know that every single one of those characters has that same kind of inner, I don't know, dialogue.
And that girl looks kind of hot. I bet if she says no, I'll just still go over to her.
I'll convince her anyway.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, Ladislaw has those kinds of deep thoughts well within. Yeah. He's a very deep thinker about the.
If only man had.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm just thinking about a fucking Ladislaw POV chapter, and he like sees Giselle and he's like, "Oh, my man."
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Captain Luther, you're my man. You think he says that like in his voice, in his head voice? He actually says that. Like he doesn't say, he's my man." He immediately in his own head, he's like, "Captain Luther, you're my man." He's like, "God, I'm hilarious."
He probably goes to sleep whispering like, "You're my man."
Do.
Just cradles a little portrait of Giselle in his sleep.
I have 9 marks. I have 20. I have 100 marks on you.
That's what needed to exist. And before they are hanged, West is sleeping next to Ladislaw, and he's just in his dream, sleep talking to himself. "Oh, my man, Luther. You're my man."
And West is like, "What the fuck?" Another funny moment I liked is that before they're hanged, actually the Scars chapter, where everyone's sitting around the campfire, and then Logan starts talking about, I kind of like black out and kind of just kill everybody around me. Everybody's like, "Excuse me?" Like Longfoot scooches away from him a little bit. Even Bias is like, this was kind of important information we should have known." I think like everybody's just worried. It's just like a you can hear a pin drop.
It's true.
It's really the kind of information you should tell your companions.
You might murder one of us, and then Logan goes, "I might actually more likely murder all of you."
Yeah, it's like, it sounds like Logan's character and stuff. You're like, and Farrah even defends him like, "So what? He's a killer." Like that's cool, but like it's essentially the same as you like. You're going on a road trip, and some of the people, you're not super familiar, but you're going to Six Flags. It'll be a fun time. You got, and you're sitting in a car ride, and you're like, "Anybody got any good stories?" "Yeah, I'm a serial killer." Whenever I was 12, I murdered my friend, and then and I was a little bit older. I tried to kill my father, and I've been killing a ton of people ever since. Most people I don't really get to know me very well because of that, and everyone's like, I hope. Well, don't worry, I'll probably just kill all of you. You don't have to worry about that. It's the most psychotic, unhinged thing.
You have the girl who starts defending him. He's like, "He's not really that bad. So what? He's a killer."
I mean, like, I'd write to him in prison, so like, I don't see the issue.
So what? I kill too. I'm a murderer, and you're like, "Who the fuck am I writing with?" Brother Longfoot's on the front with Apple Maps. Like, what the hell?
This is a shaft.
So I think the funniest of the main characters has got to be Glockter, especially with his internal monologue.
Oh yes,
I love it when I think we talked about this with the last guest, but like when he's questioning Logan and Byers in the Tower of Chains just after the Ptolemy comes and blows the fucking wall out. And he's just like doesn't believe a fucking word he's saying, and he's just like basically entertaining himself the whole time because he just doesn't take it seriously at all.
Kneel before me.
That's interesting you say it, George, because I always feel like, I mean, maybe not. Like Glockta is hilarious, but like I always feel like in the Blade itself, I am always cracking up at like Giselle's ridiculousness of how he's just like, "Yes, my jaw, a job kings." Like it's so over the top. It's hilarious.
It's definitely like comedically in love with himself. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Definitely. And then especially with Artie always being completely off his guard as she outfences him with dialogue every single time. That's definitely one of my favorite parts because I was rereading The Blade itself about the time I started dating my wife. And it was hilarious because as I'm reading through it, my wife is very, very, very much like Artie. And little by little, we're like out on a date, and I just look at her like, "Holy shit, you are Artie West."
He's like, "What the fuck?"
I loved Artie. I like Artie a lot more now, and I always have kind of that secondary laugh at any Giselle and Artie interaction.
Does that are you like Giselle then?
I like to think not, but maybe a little bit more than I'd like.
Do you ever find yourself looking at yourself in the mirror?
Sometimes at my masterful jaw. The jaw of kings, really.
The jaw.
Kings would kill for this jaw.
Jeffrey, I need you to go over there and like, you know,
What?
kick his knees and be like, "You're a bastard. You came from a whore." We're giving you the full immersion experience.
There we go. In that case, I think I might just go for Glock to just mutilate me.
Yeah, right.
She'll live with it.
Jeff, who do you think is the funniest main character in the original trilogy?
In the original trilogy? I mean, Glock is such an easy choice, right? Casca, you know. Oh, you said main character though. You said main character. Pharaoh is unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
Especially that part where it's like, we actually have a bastard son of King Guslav, Giselle Dan Luthar, and then everything goes quiet, and then all you hear in a faint distance is a It's just great. Love it.
And then it's doubly funny how offended Giselle is that somebody was actually laughing at him.
Yeah, Pharaoh definitely takes you off guard sometimes, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Especially when she's just like so racist as well. She's to everyone she sees like, "You fucking pink. What the fuck are you doing? Fuck you. Fucking hate you. I've never even met you before, but I hate you."
She is very spicy.
Quite rightly, though. I think that's not her fault, but you know. But you're right about Costco as well, especially in the first trilogy. Like, he's just such this like swashbuckling fucking mercenary. He doesn't give a shit about anything.
Mm-hmm.
I especially love it in just recently in the end of Last Argument of the Kings. He's like, "Are you usually drunk at this time?" And he's like, no, I'm usually drunk way before this.
Oh, yeah, that's like Artie.
Glock is like, "I'm surrounded by alcoholics."
That is his life. He's during the siege.
Especially there, yeah. There's very true. George, you want to let's go on to our best meme of the week. You want to take that away?
Sure, yeah. And who else but Joshua Foster Author on Reddit?
Oh, how about that? Who's that?
How about that? Yeah.
Oh, got a nerd.
Interesting coincidence. Okay.
Probably a Jew.
Oh,
Probably the grandest Jew.
Well, we're cutting that out.
Yeah, cut that.
Are you Jewish, Joshua?
I am, yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's okay then. It's okay.
Promise.
Yeah, we're safe.
No,
We're
no,
safe.
We'll leave it in.
There we go. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
You're like, I give you guys the pass.
I give you guys a Jew card. Yes.
Wait, does that mean I can say?
No, don't even fucking go there.
Only you, Harrison. You're the only one who gets a universal Jew card.
So we have your meme, which is the Steve Buscemi meme from 30 Rock, and it's Beck at the beginning of The Heroes. How do you do, fellow warriors? Man, when do you come up with this shit? Like, what the fuck? I sit there for hours at a time trying to think of a meme, and then you just like effortlessly pull out one of these things.
I sit there at break at work and I just scroll through meme templates and come up with an idea. And every time it's always my lowest effort memes that get the most likes. Like that one. I was just scrolling through it. I saw Steve Buscemi like, huh, that looks like Beck. We're gonna go ahead and do that.
That looks like Beck.
Red, he's wearing red. Beck.
Okay.
Yeah. That's who should play him.
Wholeheartedly agree. He looks like a 15-year-old kid. He's very convincing.
It is pretty impressive how people are able to come up with these memes like that. I like whenever I was doing some more, that's what I would have to do is sit there and study the templates and be like, what reminds me of the first law? But like if you try to come up with something specific, it's so difficult. It's never like good. No one thinks it's funny.
Yeah, that's the thing. I tend to go way too specific. But in one meme that is very underrated from the past few days that people need to give more likes. Oh, I don't know. This might be past this episode. I was gonna say the clubbing seals meme from Lickshots 419. Everybody listening should go like that meme because that deserves way more likes than 47.
Yeah, that is a good one. It's like some asshole with a mace and just out after killing 2 people for the first time ever. And it's just a guy clubbing a seal.
It is the perfect grimdark meme for this grimdark series.
Oh,
Some asshole with a mace just oh no. No.
It is
My boy!
criminal that it is only at 47 likes.
Oh my god.
it was just gone up to 50 in the time that you've said that. So
Good.
Wait, like it, everyone like it. Go. That's really funny.
Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites from the Reddit. But
Lord. That's a rough one. All right. Well, thank you for the best meme of the week, George. Appreciate that. Let's go back to another topic. What do you got for us, Joshua?
another topic after I came up with that other fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess, do you guys have a favorite singular moment from the first trilogy that you always look forward to every reread?
I've said this before, but I absolutely love the entire Siege of Zagoska. I know it's not like one moment, but just that entire time from when Glocto arrives from when he leaves, I just think that's such a good story.
It definitely is, and it feels very unique coming at it from the crippled Inquisitor, who can't actually fight at all in the siege, who kind of leads, but not directly in the warfare portion, more in the logistics portion of it. It's a really cool, unique kind of story that you don't get to see in fantasy a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, from what I've read.
Yeah, and it also like it does something unique too. Like it really showcases. It's probably, I don't want to say Glocked at his peak, but like it shows his strength so well and like why he is the way he is, and like why he's formidable, and you know it's all the great qualities we love about him.
How about you, Jeff?
For me, a couple like singular moments that I look forward to from the original trilogy. The first time Logan goes Bloody Nine and the blade itself, it's always like, oh shit, hits the fan. And then in Last Argument Kings, when Glocta pulls himself together for about 30 seconds, negates, ignores all the pain and re-establishes his status as the Union's greatest swordsman by poking Frost in the throat with his little cane, saving Artie and continuing on his quest for justice and the truth.
Well, you make him sound like a fucking hero.
Yeah, I know, right?
But with that, I think there is the argument that if you were to pick out a singular hero in the series, I think it has to be Glocta. Even in the original series or trilogy, but especially if you factor in everything else. I mean, he is the character who kind of got freedom for the Union by the end of it. From,
I mean, that's the first time
tyrannical
that
dictator.
I mean, what do you mean by hero though?
Yeah, I mean, because he caused a lot of deaths with that little big change, the big adjustment.
Very
The
much
big
so.
adjustment. That's what we should call it from now on. The big adjustment is coming.
The sizable adjustment.
The big adjustment.
Well, there's an idea for my writing.
Just
Totally not
outright
plagiarized.
steal the idea.
The big adjustment. Yes.
But do you want to talk about how you think Glocta could be considered the hero?
Yeah, I want to hear more about this.
I think so, because if you go through it, Glocta does a lot of terrible things. He does get a lot of people killed. He does kill a lot of those people himself. He does torture a lot of people with his own hands and by his words. But if you look at what character has actually done the most good for that world, it's probably Glocta, at least of the POV characters. Hold on. I gotta gather my thoughts here.
Take your time, man. No worries.
That's one thing a lot of people will point to as Orso, as Orso being the best character in the series, and he probably is from a trying to be good. He's a good guy, kind of a person. But kind of like how Joe's talked about too, is he really the hero? Is he really that good of a character? Because he's very ineffectual, versus a Glocta who has kind of ran the Union. He has mixed in and given little nuggets to the peasantry wherever possible. He did work with Giselle, who became a much better person. But he's smart enough to not just try to give the peasants everything all at once. And he's smart enough to put together this big plan where the Union needs to burn. And then the phoenix of the new Union will rise from the ashes out from under Baez's control. You know what? Damn it! This is an off the cuff kind of a thing, but I've done a lot of thinking about this in the past, and I can't think of most of my reasons.
No, it's all good. No, I think you made a good point though. I mean, like I see what you're saying. He's someone who's he's got the balls to do the work, and he's successful at what he's trying to do. His goal is to get Baez out of control, whether for his own sake or for Savine's sake or however he wants to play it out. He is successful at it. I mean, in a way, if you kind of see it as the Baez as the evil and whatever it takes to get his yoke off of the Union, then for sure he's absolutely the hero. I think it becomes more complicated though, because then you could also say, as we talked about actually in 2 episodes now, we talked about it with yesterday, but if the Eaters would have won the Battle of Adua, I don't think they would have been very kind about it. And did Baez the hero then? Because he's killed all these people. But he won, and he accomplished his goal. But is that actually the right thing for the common man? It's kind of an interesting question.
This is true. But there is still the argument that Glocta did leave the Union in the capable hands of a whiny child, Leo Danbrock, and a literal whiny child, his son. And that's got to count for something. The best politicians are ineffectual because they can't screw up your life too badly. It's the effective ones you need to worry about.
Yeah, unless they're like the random, extreme, super overpowered dictator types that are like actually good at what they do. Then you're like, wow, this is incredible. I wish we all had more like this. Let's keep a king. Oh, it'll be perfect. And then they are like, oh, most kings suck.
Yeah.
What do you guys think, Jeff? You think Glock is a hero because he accomplished what he was trying to set out to do, or do you think that he's what would be your thoughts on that?
I don't know about hero. I think a lot of the reasoning of that he did what he did was that he just doesn't like to have a master, that he doesn't like losing ever since he was tortured and all that jazz. Since he's not the glory child of the Union anymore, he doesn't want. I think he's very spiteful in a lot of ways. I mean, maybe he's somewhat altruistic, right, in terms of needing to just get out of the thumb of Baez. So, that probably does inform part of his decision, his reasoning for it. But no one. I think somebody said it yesterday or the other episode. No one does anything out of pure altruism, though. So I don't know if he's a hero. I don't think so.
So that's true, but at the same time, if nobody does anything out of pure altruism, a little bit of altruism can go a longer way. Doesn't
Yeah, a
have to
little.
be totally pure, because then you also
Right.
see that in the Great Change and Other Lies, where he's talking about whether or not to include Giselle in it with Pike in his plan.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, because Giselle would just get in the way, whereas Glock is the guy who can get things done. Sometimes you
know.
need a villain, and does needing that villain to do something good make the villain a hero? Sometimes.
Maybe he does like heroic things,
Yeah.
but
I think Baez uses the same reasoning though. You know.
Yeah, but Baez is a dick, so it doesn't track.
So is Glock though.
But Glock is a likable dick. There's a
But
difference.
Glock does not mean to the characters that we see him with, so we don't think about it. But think about how many lives he's ruined.
how
Think,
many people
unnecessarily.
tortured? How many people we've seen him torture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? He makes up. Like, Pike's his best friend now.
Yeah, they're like bros. They're like cracking jokes. So like, remember that one time we tortured that guy and he was actually a bad guy? Can't believe that happened. That's crazy.
I think Pike is just suffering from battered victim syndrome. That's what I think.
You're
What?
probably right.
He's got
Battered
Stockholm
victim-
syndrome.
Yeah, no, not even Stockholm, just victim syndrome. Just he's been through so much, but now his tormentor is his hero. So maybe in Pike's
Yeah.
eyes, Glock does a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Great Adjustment. He's the leader of it. George, what about you? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's interesting with Glock 2, especially when it comes to like the Great Change, because obviously he's set it up that way so that people are suffering more, so that they're more likely to like rebel, aren't they?
Right.
So if Baez had been in complete control and Glock had actually done exactly what he said, maybe things wouldn't be as bad as they are at the point of Age of Madness. So you could argue that, Glock is saving the Union from Baez, but it's not that much better, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Especially, like you said, Josh, when you putting fucking Leo down, cock in charge.
Oh, good lord.
Well, half in charge.
A little bit less than half, because Savine is smarter.
Just like his limbs.
There you go.
Oh boy. I mean, so I guess Glock is banking on Savine being able to outmaneuver Leo.
That's a pretty fair. That's a fair thing to make.
Mm-hmm.
And he did talk about how that was his plan of putting Savine in charge in one way or another. And then it obviously had audible because of their whole rebellion. But he wanted to put her in charge from the beginning.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
She just tried to get in the way of that plan. Well, I guess that's another topic. Do you guys have any wildly hot takes or unpopular opinions about the series?
Baez is an eater.
Oh god.
George is ready. He was locked and loaded.
I have heard your
100%.
theory video on this. I do
Go
agree
on.
with you. You did
Yes.
convert me, because before that I didn't. I did think that.
Oh boy.
Damn it, you gave him hope. Damn you, Josh. He'll be talking about this for months now.
George, you need to do more First Law conspiracy theory videos. You've got a lot of these theories, and I want them all, I want to hear them all very in depth, and I want you converting people to the conspiratorial First Law ways.
Yes. More
Terrible way of
tinfoil.
saying that, but that's my request. More tinfoil.
We're gonna have a bunch of First Law flat earthers. Thanks, Jesus.
Well, the circle of the world is flat.
It's literally
Yeah.
called the circle of the world.
They don't-
It ain't no
sphere
sphere of the world, bro. It ain't no sphere.
Oh god, I'm gonna kill myself. Oh no.
Jeff, what about you? You got something, right? You have one.
I don't think I have anything wild. Hot takes. The Age of Madness trilogy is not my favorite trilogy. It's the weakest trilogy for me. I mean,
That's what everybody feels that way, Jeff.
yeah. No, that's
Except for me.
I don't know. When I say weakest, I just mean not as entertaining.
I get that.
Like, he's like, some of his best work in terms of just like his writing, but in terms of me being enthralled with his story, no. Um, I am trying to think. I don't think I have any like outlandishly hot takes, but I will peruse my brain. Harrison, if you want to take that over while I think about it.
Yes, I don't have anything too crazy. I mean, I like most characters inside the series. There's not very many characters that I don't like, but I know George feels the same way. But I think that like in the Age of Madness, I think that a lot of the characters are not as weak or as repetitive as people like to act like they are. Um, and especially on Reddit, there's a lot of like griping about how so many of the characters inside people love Leo and Orso and Savine, and that makes sense too. They're like the big three of the new trilogy, and they are really great. But then they act like the others are like, oh, they're just blah 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 blah. Like they're not that great. Blah 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 blah. Acting like they should all be as like top tier as those three and stuff. And I'm like, in my opinion, like most of those characters, the quote unquote side characters, are better written than most of the other like POVs inside of like the first Law trilogy. Like most of those characters are written better than the Dogman. Most of them are written better than Pharaoh. And they have a lot more character and depth to them. And things going on, and so I always get confused by that. It's like, yeah, Broad is a certain way, and I know Jeff doesn't like Broad, but like he comes from such a he comes from such a relatable place. Like he really is. He's one of the only characters in the series that really is just a dude caught up in some bullshit who is an asshole, and he's stuck in an addiction cycle. And everyone's like, well, it's just like with Logan. No, Logan's just different because like Logan doesn't have no family. Logan also like Broad will straight up be like, I don't want to do this, and then he does it anyways. Logan acts like that never was even a choice in the first place. And they're very different, distinct, and like Victorine Dan Teufel, she like people talk about, oh, it's so annoying she's in the camps, but like everybody else repeats their main event. Glockta all the time is like, I was stuck in a prison. Everyone's like, yeah. It's the same kind of thing, It's just I think that people didn't like the way the story went inside of Age of Madness, and so they want to find something that might be wrong with it, even though it's just as consistent as his other work. Obviously, if you don't like the story as much, you don't like the story as much, like in Jeff's case. So,
yeah,
but probably in the minority there.
Yeah, I guess that would be my first hot take. The Age of Madness is definitely my favorite of the three.
Oh, favorite! Wow, that is
easily.
It's not even wow. Okay. Let's hear more about this. Why do you think? Why do you put it over? Right.
So for one, I've always loved the French Revolution, and I also love the Industrial Revolution. So obviously you have those two setting kinds of environments. And then I love the subversion of having Orso and Leo's characters. And in any other story, Leo would be the hero that you're rooting for and that you love, and Orso would be like a Ladislaw kind of a character who's the stuck-up prick if they're putting them at odds. And they do such a perfect job, or he does such a perfect job of like reversing their roles. And it's really cool. Like when you see Jappo, and Jappo makes that same observation about kind of how Leo is just kind of a whiny dick. Who you should theoretically love, but don't. And Orso, you should theoretically hate his reputation, his whoring, like everything. But he's great. He's very likable. And then my other main hot take, which is probably the most hot of them all, is that Leo is one of my top 5 favorite First Law characters. He is awful. He is so awful, but that makes him so interesting and so entertaining. Like he's whiny, but I love listening to him whine for whatever reason. It's a weird, like cathartic, satisfying kind of a hatred for a character.
I've got to agree with you because I actually really, really like Leo. I love how Joe like kind of steers us towards. I don't really hate him. Like everybody, we kind of shit on him because he is awful, but I can't really blame him. Like with all First Law characters, like he has such a good setup, and the way that Joe describes the way that the characters feel, it's just you can't blame him, even though you hate him. It's just so good. It's so good. I definitely put Leo in my top 5 as well.
I agree. Good job. I've seen like 2 other people on Reddit make that same argument and have that opinion. But yeah.
Just to clean it up, not clean up, come back to it. Yeah, I don't have any outlandish takes, so we'll just move right on. But thank you for all that.
Yeah.
What else?
Josh, did you want to talk about just like general character tier lists and things like that?
Well, I'd love to hear like what your guys's favorite characters are, whether it's a top 5 or just the characters that I don't know if there's a few characters that really stand out to you guys as your all-time favorites, like a tier above the rest.
I mean, if we're just going by the first trilogy, which I think we should for this one,
Yeah.
I've got to say I fucking love Polder and Croy. Especially Croy. Polder isn't as much of a character, especially when it comes to later in the series. But I love their dynamic, and I love the way that they're set apart by everything about them, like the personality, the way they look, the way they act. Everything about them is so different, and just setting up that sort of we expect it to be a power struggle between them when Burr dies, for then that to be subverted again when it comes back and it's like, oh no, West is the new Lord Marshal. I think those two are definitely in my top 5 for the trilogy. Like, I'd like to count them as one character though.
That's awesome. I totally agree with that. And I guess in the theme of doing like two characters and their relationship with each other and everything, I'd probably go Dow and West. I love Dow and West relationship where Dow just kind of shits on all of the Unioners. And little by little kind of likes West as West just gets angry and snaps again and again, whether that's in the fight, when Dow smacks him, or afterwards when he throws Ladislaw off a cliff.
I'll get to like you, boy.
I'm getting to like you, Furious.
That's right up your alley, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was going to say like Dow and Toll, their whole dynamic across 3 books. Just obviously them at each other's throats, but then them coming together to basically crown Dogman as the new chief, and then obviously that eulogy Dow gives after somebody fucking stabbed Toll in the neck. Just it speaks to me.
Yeah, I think that it is always sad, Jeff. Mm-hmm. If we're doubling up, I would say I love the whole idea of like Salt and Morovia, like they are like they're very prominent in the first book, and then they're not so much in the second, and then they're back in it in the third. And I just liked how they kind of represent government as a whole. There's like a left winger and a right winger, and they're both like and you think like just in real life, like they're the problem, like, oh, those people, oh yeah, we don't want that guy in charge, but like both of them and much of the audience doesn't realize that there's a whole nother issue going on, and what's actually the root cause of the problems is something else entirely. And they represent that, but they are both still interesting characters in their own right. And they're both, both. Salt is absolutely hilarious. So I would say I really enjoy their characters quite a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny enough that you mentioned Salt. I want to go back to what we said real quick about one of the funniest moments. How could I forget? I am wretched. You are less than wretched.
Yes.
George, can you do the voice?
Yeah, you do.
You are less than wretched. Look there, you crippled worm. You disgusting remnant.
And then what's that? Oh my god, I always forget his name.
Goyle?
Yeah, Goyle's voice. You do such a good Goyle voice. Come on, let's hear it.
Is that when he's like, oh yeah, I am wretched.
You are less than wretched.
Please, Inspector.
Out of my sight.
Oh, I do love Goyle. Oh, Goyle is another one up there with for minor characters especially. Like, he's so antagonistic. He's so just out there evil. He just loves to talk to people for no fucking reason whatsoever, apart from his own pleasure. Thinks he's like this top guy, goes around collecting all the cool practicals, and at the end he's just like absolutely fucking nothing. He's just this horrible little worm. Because you expect him, right? Well, I always expected Goyle to be more of a threat to Glocta in general, like in his story. Well, especially from how he's introduced and how his practicals, like, we see them fighting with Pharaoh and Logan, and they're definitely not, they're not pushovers. So
Yeah,
you expect him to come back and sort of threaten Glocta in some way, but he doesn't. He just like fucking sits there and waits for Salt to tell him what to do.
Especially once they made them, or once Salt made them co-superiors, I 100% expected like a little mini boss arc where Glocta's taking out his rival, kind of like when he takes out, I think it's not Felnick, but yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I know who you're
Morovia's little goon. I expected like a little
Morrow.
mini arc, kind of like that. Morrow, that's it. Yes, Harlem Morrow.
And, he moved up in the world. At first, he was, Hoff's secretary, and now, Morovia's little henchman, and he, got fed to the pigs.
Which was another fantastic scene.
That was a good one.
He thinks he has everything all taken care of. He's so smug about it. And then it was just such the most pitiful attempt at his life.
Yeah,
It's like one dude with a knife.
And Glocta goes, oh God, here we go with the backstory.
my father.
He had a pig farm. He raised pigs. They'll eat anything, Wink, wink.
He's doing that speech for fucking Slatch. Just talking about how much pigs can eat.
Oh yeah, from what's that guy's name?
Bricktop.
Bricktop. Yeah.
Hence the expression "greedy as a pig."
Pig. Oh, that was a good one. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support really does mean a lot to us.
Join us next week as we have one more special guest episode with our original 3 guest spots and a special quiz episode. It's very special.
And make sure you follow us on social media. We're on Reddit, we're on Instagram and Twitter. And make sure you visit our website, circleoftheworld.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app that you use. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast. Thank you all again for listening.
Apologize to my fucking dice.